Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence.
Here are today's top headlines. Treasury to suppliers, drop dead. American Axle sues a supplier to resume shipments, and a unique way to use cars to generate electricity. Up next, we'll be back with the news behind the headlines. This is Autoline Daily for Wednesday, June 17th, 2009, and now the news. Supplier associations in the American market failed once again to obtain financial help from the government. The Motor Equipment Manufacturers Association and the Original Equipment Suppliers Association asked the U.S. Treasury for up to $10 billion so suppliers can buy raw materials and pay employees. But the Associated Press reports the Treasury doesn't see any need since it doesn't see any supply disruptions. You know, from my vantage point, that's like sailing into a minefield and saying, well, nothing's blown up yet. And here's a good example of what I'm talking about. American Axle is seeking a court order to get one of its steel suppliers to resume deliveries. According to the AP, Republic Engineered Products stopped shipments to American Axle because they wanted volume commitments due to American Axle's weak financial condition. Axle makes components for GM trucks and SUVs, but not expected to affect GM at the moment because the automaker has virtually stopped all truck production. As we reported a week ago, Volkswagen is objecting to the supplier company MAGNA being part of the deal to acquire Opel. VW says that would give Opel an unfair advantage since MAGNA is a supplier to VW and would know most of its future product plans. But at the National Summit in Detroit, Don Walker, the co-CEO of MAGNA, told Autoline Daily that MAGNA would establish firewalls between the Opel and the supplier side of MAGNA's business. He notes this is how most suppliers handle the business they do with different automakers, but he added if MAGNA does become a part owner of Opel, it would need a different kind of firewall. If you remember back to the Detroit Auto Show last January, Audi unveiled a stunning concept called the SPORTBACK. It was a highly styled four-door hatchback with lots of production potential. Now the company's hinting at what the market version of the car will look like. It released a small video of the vehicle being sketched by its chief designer, Wolfgang Egger. The illustration doesn't show very much, but at least it gives you a feel for what the car will look like. The company also released a tantalizing teaser photo showing a small part of the hatch. Look for the A5 Sportback at dealers this September. UK supermarket chain Sainsbury has implemented a new green energy generator at one of its locations. Kinetic road plates, which is what they call them, have been installed at the company's new green store in Gloucester, England. The parking lot features large pads. As cars drive over them, their weight pushes on the pads, which generates power. The system is expected to produce about 30 kilowatts of electricity per hour, which is about 4 times as much power needed to run the average home. Researchers at MIT created a nickel-tungsten alloy that's more durable and safer to make than chrome. Today, making chrome uses electroplating, which runs an electrical current through a liquid of chromium ions to deposit a thin layer coating on the metal, and the process is repeated multiple times. It's not only unfriendly to the environment, it's hazardous to workers. The MIT process applies the coating in just one step. According to Wards, the new coating could be used for engine parts and shock absorbers, but is now being tested on bumpers. Coming up next, time for You Said It.
Changing tires out here could be dangerous, but with these tires, I don't need to worry.
Bridgestone.
And now it's time for some of your feedback. This is You Said It, where we take all your questions and comments, jumble them all up, and You Said It gives me a chance to respond. Mohammed Nabulsi saw our report on Mercedes' braking bag, an airbag under the car that deploys to help drag the car to a stop to avoid an accident. He says, Mercedes' braking concept is brilliant, but how will they control body yaw? Mohammed, first off, the wheels are still in contact with the pavement, so the yaw control will still be somewhat effective. Second, That airbag only triggers in the case of an imminent collision, and my guess is that the number one priority at that point is to stop the car more than it is to worry about the yaw. And Michael J. Brown picks up on that and says, why don't they make airbags that protect the car too? In the case of fender benders, just think of how many front and rear bumpers could be spared and how many insurance deductibles too by having airbags that deploy from out of the bumpers. Interesting concept, Michael, but it's ironic that bumpers were first put on cars to protect them, and now we're going to put airbags on to protect the bumpers, which are protecting the cars? Second, costs a lot of money to replace an airbag, so you'd still be socked with insurance deductibles. You know, I like the idea that the industry was exploring after World War II when they were looking at putting retro rockets on the front of a car with the idea of firing them off in case of an imminent collision and bringing the car to a dead stop. I think they dropped the idea when somebody realized, hey, what if you're trying to avoid hitting a pedestrian? And then Pure Moose saw our review of the Honda Insight where I complained of all the vibration in the rear view mirror. He asks, why would the rear view mirror shake? Is the glass too thin? Pure Moose, I think you nailed it. I think Honda went with very thin glass all the way around to save weight, to get good fuel economy, and that's why the rear view mirror, which is mounted to the windshield, vibrates so much. Hey, don't forget to tune into Autoline After Hours tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern or 2300 hours GMT when Mark LeNave, who runs all sales, marketing, and advertising at General Motors, joins Jason Vines, Peter DeLorenzo, and me in the studio. You know, I got to tell you, I can't wait for the show. It's going to be a good one. But that's it for the top news in today's global automotive industry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Visit our website for even more great content all week long. Autoline Extra, Dawn's Journal, podcasts, and even more. So click over and get the inside view at AutolineDetroit.tv.